As at that time, the house started growing mold just at the base of the house. I wasn't really well diagnosed by those doctors then. Nobody knew I had sinusitis. If you are having a constant headache, catarrh, or facial pressure and blocked nose, you may want to watch this video to the end because I'll be sharing some information on how you can get over it and get relief from this ailment. Welcome to my channel. If you are just coming across my page for the first time, I am Amina Ibrahim Jimo, and here are the things I'll be discussing with you on this channel. Today, I want to enlighten you on what we call rhinitis sinusitis. Rhinitis and sinusitis are two different things, but they are always coined together or termed together. So, what is rhinitis? What is sinusitis? Just sit well, grab your popcorn and your drink, and come along with me. Welcome back. What do we call sinusitis and what is rhinitis? Rhinitis are just the inflammation of the deeper part of your nose. That is rhinitis. And what do we call sinusitis? Sinusitis is an infection that is gotten from sinus. What do we call sinus? Please, you need to listen very well for you to understand this. That is just the layman term. Sinus are just the hair-filled part of your skull. That is, you see this nose, this cheekbone, and this forehead. There are some parts of the skull that has some hair-filled part that helps you to breathe comfortably. I hope you understand that. There are four main pairs of these sinuses, and number one is the frontal sinuses. This one can be found in your forehead. That is the hair-filled space that is in your forehead. Then the number two is the maxillary sinuses. These maxillary sinuses can be found in your cheeks. That is the hair space that is on your cheek, inside your cheek. Then the number three is the ethmoid sinuses. This one can be found behind your eyes or in between your eyes. Then the last one is the phrenoid sinuses. This one is deep behind your nose. Those are the four main sinuses that we have. And why am I saying this? Because it will really help you to understand what I want to discuss further in this video. So, what is sinusitis? Sinusitis, like I said earlier, is an infection that is gotten or that affected the main part or the major part of your sinus. Like I've mentioned, I just listed four main pairs of sinuses, and those places are where the infection affected if you have sinusitis. And mind you, this rhinitis and the sinusitis, they go along with each other, but they are different. Like I mentioned earlier, I said rhinitis is just the inflammation of the deep part of your nose. If you have rhinitis, you may be having runny nose, you may have continuous catarrh that doesn't stop, and then inflammation of your nose. Yes, that is rhinitis. But sinusitis is just a little more advanced than rhinitis in the sense that you may have blocked nose, and if the catarrh is not able to flow out, it will be trapped at the deeper part of your nose, like at the back of your nose. Then the liquid that is supposed to come out will be trapped there and not able to come out. That may cause facial pain or facial pressure or constant headache for you if you're having sinusitis. Also, I want to list the major causes of this sinusitis. There are different types of major, let's say, activities that cause this sinusitis, but I'll be listing out some of them for you. If you are constantly exposed to, let's say, dust, smokes, you understand, and if you're allergic to maybe perfume and maybe some things generally, it may cause sinusitis. And some people have this, but they don't know. And if you have, let me say, rhinitis that is not well treated, or you didn't really treat the rhinitis, it may later advance to sinusitis. I hope you are getting me now. Some of the other causes of this sinusitis is just the untreated rhinitis, like I mentioned. Then if you have cold or flu, if you are allergic to so many other things. Some people are allergic to groundnuts, nuts, peanuts or the rest. Some people are allergic to cats, some people are allergic to different things. If you can just identify what causes the allergy, it may also contribute to your sinusitis. Then if you have the viral infection or bacterial infection, it may also add to the complication of sinusitis. Some of the symptoms you may notice if you're having sinusitis is frequent sneezing. Any little thing you always sneeze. Then you have runny nose, which is also known as catarrh. The next one is you may have itchy nose, watery eyes, blocked nose, sensitivity to dust, perfume, cold hair, to objects, to animals. You understand? Those are some of the contribution to having sinusitis infection. This sinusitis infection is not a deadly disease. Neither is something that can claim life. But if you don't treat it or you just leave it untreated for a long time, it's going to cause, let me say, you may have low immunity. Yes, you may have low immunity. If you are getting treatment for some other ailments, it may take a long while for you to just get normal. from that other ailment. That is one of the side effects of having untreated sinusitis. So back to my previous video that I did. If you haven't watched my first video on this, how I was messed up with this sinusitis, please, I'll just refer you to the video on this. Just check around the video, you'll see a link to watch the first one. Then I'll be completing the story behind my own sinusitis, what caused my own sinusitis, and how I was able to get over the sinusitis. So in the first video, I mentioned that I was always treating catarrh for some time, and it happened during the cold weather, just like 7 years ago. Yeah, I was just having cold, normal catarrh, and I was using the over-the-counter drugs, but I didn't get over it. You understand? It would just leave me for a while and come back, just not long after I get treated. So I think that time my immunity was already low. You understand what I'm saying? So as I was going and coming back, going to the hospital and coming back and going and coming, I noticed that some of the things that was happening then, or that really caused it, is just within the environment. You understand me? Let's say, for instance, I was a student when I had this constant cold, that is catarrh, and when the sinusitis just started, and mind you, it was just still acute sinusitis, like just mild. It wasn't that very serious, but I didn't really pay attention to it. Or should I say, the doctor, I paid attention to it because I wasn't doing self-medication. I was visiting hospital to complain. They would just give me all these, little small drugs. Take this, take that, and I would get relief, and it would come back. You understand? I wasn't really well diagnosed by those doctors then. Nobody knew I had sinusitis. But before then, what I knew was that I was a student, and I was going to school almost like I was a part-time student in one of the polytechnic in Lagos. But what happened is that I was constantly in traffic almost every time I go to school. I was constantly in traffic. And if you know Lagos roads very well, the major busy roads, you know that there are always all these big tankers, like, filling station tankers, all these truck carrying goods around, you understand? And being somebody that takes commercial buses, so I'm always in the commercial buses at most of the evenings because I attend school in the evening. And then, the release of this exhaust from all these vehicles and all, always sniffing it in. It's not that you intentionally sniff it, but somehow it gets into your system. You understand what I'm saying? So that was when the problem really started. I didn't really, although I'm someone that always like prevention and all of those things. So whenever I'm going in those buses like that, because I am on hijab, I always use my hijab to cover my nose. It was just before COVID then, you understand? It was before COVID, so there was nothing like using nose mask or face mask then. So, but I always use my hijab to cover my nose just like this until we leave this scenario. So it was all the log of those exhausts, you understand? Some of those exhausts got into my system, because when I get home at night after coming back from school, I always get this pressure on my face, you understand? Sometimes it will lead to catarrh, that over the night I will have to just steam my nose, steam myself, sometimes use hot water to bath, do little things just to ease myself and sleep over it. Then the next day I'll also go out again. This is kind of funny, but not so funny. So all of those times I've been exposed to having sinusitis, because one of the causes of sinusitis is dust, messed up hair, like polluted hair, perfumes and the likes. I'm not the type that use perfume like that then, so I can't say perfume caused it, even though my husband used, but he wasn't around then. So after the complaint that I got the sinusitis, I started, searching for the information on how I can get over it. So I was always trying this, trying that. But one of the things I knew that helped me was constantly taking hot water. You understand? Not that high degree of hotness, but at least it would have dropped to some temperature. Not that 100 degree Celsius. So I'll just take the hot water, drink it, and just blend some ginger, take the ginger, and it will ease me. If my nose is blocked at that time, at least the nose will ease, and I will have runny nose just to clear my airways. And I started adopting so many other lifestyles that can change my condition as at that time. So after a while, we moved from that location and got to another one. But meanwhile, one of the things that also contributed to my sinusitis that make it worse is that I was living in the environment was not really ventilated. If you know Lagos houses, most of the houses, if you are not living in a good, well ventilated environment, all the houses are close together, you understand? Like, there is no hair coming from left, right, just little hair coming into your house. So, and as at that time the house started growing mold, just at the base of the house. Because the area is a dusty area, you understand, because it's not at the outer city in Lagos, you understand. So there was dust in most of the area,